the elephants had invaded quite a number of the product in the area, the product owners' lodges and homes, and really caused a lot of chaos. And we were feeling quite lucky because we were just not one of the elephants came near our place, so we thought it was because we had this exceptionally good electric fence which I just had redone. And the other thing is that we didn't have any dogs that would go out and irritate the elephants, because the elephants on a number of occasions had come walking along our fence and just left us alone, had a bit of water and off they went. But of a day they decided once they're going to come through that fence. Now what an elephant herd normally does is they'll take a young bull and they'll push the young bull against the fence. He'll scream like blue bloody murder, and they'll push the youngster against the fence, push him through, so he's getting shocked and he gets whacked through, and then the whole herd will go through the fence. So this is what they normally do, but our elephants were even smarter than that. What they were doing is they were getting their trunk over the top of the fence, and then what they would do is they would grasp a pole and pull it towards them, and what they did is they snapped the electric fence. So once that electric fence was snapped, there was no more power. Then all of them would just trample through, they would push the fence down and they would walk.
So they actually knew what they were doing?
Yeah, no, of course they do. They are so clever. So this happened to us. They then decided to come in, and they first went into our citrus trees, and they also ate some of my wife's roses.
What were you doing? Were you having breakfast?
No, we were just sitting. We were actually, when we first found them in, we were sitting on the patio having a cup of tea. And we
There's an elephant eating your
looked up
rose
and there's
bush.
elephants eating the rose bushes. And so we managed eventually to chase them out, but they kept coming back day after day, and eventually they had broken through our fence about 4 or 5 times. So we decided it was time that we actually did something about it. So we got one of the local contractors in, and we discussed different fences that were put up in different parts of the country. One of them that was very successful was a fence at Tamboti, where they put a loose loop fence up. So the elephant pushes against it, they keep getting shot. So they found it was quite effective, but we thought we'd change it. So what we did is we put 5 strands outside our fence, because by this time our fence was battered, really. So we put 5 strands outside, and they were in total about 1 meter and a bit in length, okay? So each strand was electrified, and each strand had springs on it, so it was spring loaded. So what happened is, as the elephant came against it, the first strand he tramped on, okay? But he couldn't break it. And it kept shocking under his foot. So then what he did is he actually put his foot over between the two, and then he got shocked on the front, and then he got shocked at the back. So he beetled off, and he was really upset, and off he went. Okay.
Quite interesting.
But then he got outside there, and I don't know what he was thinking or whatever, but he obviously had a goal, and that goal was to eat my wife's roses. So when he realized that he couldn't get through the fence anymore, he came up to the gate, and he just gently picked up the gate, slid it over until he could get through.
Did he do that with his trunk?
Yeah, he picked it up with his trunk, opened the bucket, and just walked in. So all of this happened in the middle of the rugby game between the South Africa and the All Blacks.
Was this year?
Oh, no, just recently.
Wow. What did you name this elephant?
I knew what his name is. His name is Hot Stuff. Okay.
Quite some hot stuff right there.
So anyway, Hot Stuff came in through, and he was munching, and it just happened that it was right at halftime. And we had 30 or 40 people sitting here watching rugby. So we invited them all. Everybody said, I want to see elephants, I want to see elephants. So we took them all across there, and we said, all right, come and have a look, you know. And they all stood and oohed and awed and took photographs and selfies and whatever. And then I said to the guys, okay, half time is now done, off you go. And then we went and chased him out, okay? But when he went out, normally if you chase him, he would have gone straight through the fence. But he knew that if he went through that fence, he was going to get caught up in all of those wires. So he went straight out to the gate. He made straight for the gate and off he went. And then he sort of stood there and looked around and eventually he wandered off. So what we've done now is we've now electrified the gate so that he can't grasp it, he can't get it anymore. And we sort of figured out, okay, is it effective? Is it working? Yes, because the next day, the very next day, hot stuff in one of his ascaris. and a scary is a young bull that gets taught by an older bull.
Oh, it's an actual word. I
It's
thought it was
called
slang.
they called us scaries.
Yeah.
So he
wow.
and his ascari came down, they walked all along our fence, checked as they walked, they looked at those wires, and an elephant doesn't need to touch a wire. It can go about this far from your leg to the wire, and they can sense the electricity.
Okay, so
Okay.
they don't necessarily
They don't
touch
touch it.
Yeah. Okay.
And he could sense it, so he walked all the way down. Then he looked at the gate, but I was actually standing at the gate and said, "You're not coming in today. Today is not your
Sorry,
day."
And what was
my
the response?
roses are
So,
destroyed.
so then he pushed off, and they've been once or twice, and they haven't even tried to come through yet.
Wow.
They actually sound like intelligent animals.
They're very, very intelligent.
What is the measurement of their intelligence?
They've probably got the intelligence of a 10-year-old child. I mean, if you think today what a 10-year-old has the facility to do, you can understand how intelligent these elephants
Yeah,
are.
absolutely.
Okay, so that is, we believe that we've now got the answer. But there is another way of getting rid of elephants, and that is by using bees.
Really?
Okay.
How so?
Elephants do not like bees at all because they get stung. And inside their trunk is very sensitive, inside their ears and inside their mouths as well. So we're very fortunate is that we have a guy named Anton Scheller who lives in our area. He's a bee master and he's from Germany. And
Of course, all the masters are
I'm
from Germany.
Yeah, tell me about it.
so what happens is, what he does is he goes to all the SADC countries and he teaches emerging farmers how to farm with bees. Okay. And when he was up in the Caprivi strip, he found there were areas there where the locals were having big problems with bees, with elephants. And what they would do around their fields, they would place beehives all around their field attached with ropes, so that when the elephant came in and he pushed against the rope, the hive would fall over, and then very, very angry bees would come out and they would sting the elephants.
But you can't really control that method, can you?
No,
I mean,
the-
then there's just
yeah.
bees
No,
everywhere.
there was a problem with it because by then the bees are very annoyed. They